We begin tonight with Bill O'Reilly, host of the No Spin News, author of the coming book, Confronting Evil, Assessing the Worst of the Worst. Good to see you, sir. Donald Trump understands how to do these things. We watched him do it with the border extraordinarily effectively. Why is he not able to apply that same logic, that same discipline, that same policy making to arguably something equally or more important, which is the U.S. economy?
Because there are too many players in the tariff, whereas there are only two players in the border immigration. So it's much easier to control two players than 100 players. And you're going to drive yourself crazy every day pointing out inconsistencies in the tariffs. I don't do it. It's a waste of my time. I know what the goal is. It's to get more money coming into the United States from abroad than we have now by a considerable sum. Now, I talked with the president yesterday.
You said more money. Go ahead with what the president said, and we'll get back to this.
Well, I mean, if you have a question about more money coming in, and it's coming in now, I'll answer the question, then I'll get to that. What is your question?
The money from tariffs doesn't come from overseas. The money for tariffs comes from all of us. And I think that's part of this inconsistency. You say it doesn't matter.
That's not right, Leland. I hate to put you in a Stephen Miller category, but the tariffs are paid for by the companies importing the goods into the United States. So Mercedes pays the tariff when the cars get dropped off at Newark. Okay, that's how it works.
And they don't pass, and they never pass any of those on to the consumer?
No, it doesn't have anything to do. It's two different things, all right? So the United States Treasury gets the money that Mercedes pays on the tariffs from its cars coming into the USA. And that's what Trump wants. He wants more money coming in than going out. Now, he's not going to achieve that goal. It's impossible to achieve it. But he'll cut it 50, 60%, I'm pretty sure, over the next 6 months or so. Any other questions on how tariffs are paid?
We'll agree to disagree on that, but then, go ahead with what the president said.
Well, you can disagree with it, but that's the fact.
Okay.
And I put in Jack, but I don't want to be a wise guy. All right? The companies that import the products pay the tariffs, which is what the lure is. You're not going to have to pay the tariff if you come back to the United States.
Right. No, that's agreed. But okay, what did the president have to say?
Thank you. Okay, so I had a brief conversation with him, and it wasn't a grilling, and it wasn't, it was an overarch, all right, about how he was feeling, how he's handling the situation now. He said to me, in the next few weeks, there are going to be stunning positive achievements that happen for the United States. Okay, every politician says that, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody promoting a policy is going to say, yeah, we're going to go get him. That's coming. It's going to be great. You wait and see. 35 years I've known a man. He has never once misled me. Never once. He's iced me when I say stuff he doesn't like, but he's never misled me. He would not have said that if those deals weren't already done. And I believe that Italy is done. Meloni will be here in 2 days. I believe Japan is done. And I believe that Trump knows that he is going to bring to the American people a series of deals over a short period of time that is going to make him look like an economic genius. That's what Trump believes. Now, I can't with any certainty predict what will happen. But when I talk to the President of the United States, and I know him for 35 years, and I know what he does and why he does it, and he says that to me, not pressed. Okay. That just came out. I take it seriously.
Okay. Well, in that sense, you answered my next question, which is, if all of these countries are so busy to make deals, why hasn't he announced any deals? You're making the point he wants to wait until people show up. One big part of this is that he wants to bring manufacturing back to America. You and I have talked. He wants a 1950s version of America where we make cars and steel, and rather than software and computers. But Frank Luntz has some interesting
Right.
polling on this. America would be better off if more people worked in manufacturing. 80% of Americans agree, 20% disagree. That's about the percentage of Americans who agree that puppies are cute and ice cream tastes good. I would be better off if I worked in a factory. Only 23% of Americans agree, 73% disagree. Is Trump's vision for what he wants to do with tariffs possible?
You know, I think it's possible. People, presented with a manufacturing job in a plant aren't going to go, yay. Okay. But when you get married and you have children and you buy a home and you have to pay bills and the manufacturing job pays 3 times as much as the job at Walmart, then you're going to go for the manufacturing job. All right. It's called real life.
Yep.
So all of this pie in the sky stuff, I don't want to work in a factory. I've never desired. I don't know one human being on earth who goes, you know what I want to do in my life? Work in that factory. Okay? It's not what it is. It's about options. It's about raising standard of living. Bernie Sanders should be on board with this because all he screams about is income inequality. Well, this would narrow the inequality if you're getting paid $35 an hour from a union manufacturing job. But anyway, what I'm trying to say to you and to the American people watching NewsNation tonight is, don't get bogged down in the minutia of the swamp, all right? Trump is right. He's nimble. He'll change. When he was presented with the bond market going right over the cliff, bang, he paused everything. He's not stupid. His main motivation is becoming a great president. He knows if he fails in this tariff thing, he will not be that.
Would it be fair to say that if he fails, and I think this is a good point, you've made this warning before, if he fails, would a book in the Killing series be killing the economy?
Look, I want the economy to prosper. If it doesn't prosper under President Trump, he'll lose the midterms, and he will have very little power the last 2 years. That's the reality. Okay, but I'm not rooting for a recession like so many other
of course not.
Pundits on television are. They're absolutely rooting for it. They want Trump to go down in flames. I'm not. My job is to report the reality of the situation. And right now they're in the 4th inning of the tariff controversy. That's where they
You think
are.
we're that far along? I
Now,
think
we
we're
don't know.
barely in the 1st inning.
I think we're in the 4th. I think we're in the 4th inning because our trade representatives have talked to 100 countries about this. And all this nonsense about, oh, President Xi is visiting Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia. Here's a bulletin for President Xi. They don't have any money to buy your stuff. So you can run around all day long and say, oh, we're going to shift here, we're going to shift. And you can threaten to withhold minerals and lithium and things that we need here in the United States. But we've got stuff that they need. And they start to shut down plants in Shanghai and out in the rural areas of China with 1.5 billion. Nobody in China has a Roth IRA. They don't have savings accounts earning 5% interest. They got nothing because that's what communism is.
Yeah.
We'll give you just enough to survive. So those things go down, they're going to have trouble eating over there. All right? So Xi can strut around all he wants, but believe me, the big hurt will be initiated by the United States if it comes to that, and I hope it doesn't.
All right, I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds because you're setting up our next segment perfectly. That said, the American people do not do well with pain. Okay? We hoarded toilet paper during COVID. The Chinese people do well with pain because they don't have a choice. I would propose to you...
They got to eat.
Yeah, I would propose to you that Donald Trump, who blinked when the bond markets had issues, when we were told, nope, never blinks, he has the spine of steel, on and on. Xi is watching. Xi knows he can inflict short-term pain on America, and Americans and Donald Trump will not be as enduring and long-suffering as the Chinese might be.
it's a gamble, and the poll numbers will go down for Trump. But if he gets what he's trying to get, then his poll numbers will rocket.
Yep.
So he's gambling. He's gambling. There's no doubt. Look, there's a reason why no other president since Harry Truman has done this.
Yep.
Not
no,
one.
Well, you and I talked about it the whole time.
Whoa.
He's trying to reset the world economy.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you and I talked. We said, last week we sort of said this was Reagan-esque and this is a huge gamble. So there you go. Bill, thank you.
All right, one more plug. I want people to go to BillO'Reilly.com. I got a really good column called Et tu, Barack. And
there was a Julius Caesar reference, yes.
The dynamic within the Democratic Party right now, which is fascinating, and a story that's not being told because Trump, of course, is dominating all the headlines.
We have a segment on that later,
the best coverage Good. The best coverage ever on these tariffs is on BillO'Reilly.com because I got the pipeline, and I'm reporting honestly. Right. I don't do this spin deal.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.